Hi there, I'm Logan Medish, and this is High Caliber History. The gun is encased in rust, is missing its grip panels, has a bent ejector rod, and the action is completely frozen. And yet, this old Lefaucheux revolver, chambered for 7mm pinfire cartridges, sold at auction in Paris on June 19, 2019 for a staggering $148,000, far exceeding its auction estimate of $45,000 to $68,000. Why is that? Well, it's because it is the gun with which famous artist Vincent van Gogh committed suicide. Or is it? First, a little background info on the final days of Van Gogh's life. Vincent van Gogh attempted suicide on July 27, 1890. The emblematic Dutch artist of the 19th century moved to the south of France in 1890. He lived in room number 5 of Arthur Rimbaud's inn. At this time, Van Gogh was at the top of his career, and he produced over a painting a day, but he was mentally unstable. He went to a field behind the village church and shot his own chest. He lost consciousness and woke up at dusk seriously injured. He went back to the inn where he died 2 days later on July 29th. Now there's no denying that Van Gogh died as a result of a gunshot wound, but attributing this gun to his death is quite a stretch. Here's some info on the gun from the auction house that sold it. The gun offered in this sale was found in this field by a farmer around 1960 and was handed to the current owner's mother. Writer Elaine Rohan investigated this case and wrote the book, Did We Find the Suicide Weapon, in 2012. Several pieces of evidence show it must be Van Gogh's suicide gun, the auction house continues. It was discovered where Van Gogh was shot. Its caliber, 7mm, is the same as the bullet retrieved from the artist's body as described by the doctor at the time. Scientific studies demonstrate that the gun had stayed in the ground since the 1890s, and finally, it is a low-power gun, so it could explain why Van Gogh didn't die instantly after shooting it. According to the company's auctioneer, he says, quote, "It is a very emblematic piece." Now, of course he's going to say that. It's his job to sell these items for as much as possible. But unfortunately, I don't buy the story for a minute, and neither does the Van Gogh Institute. They were quoted as saying, quote, "Nothing suggests that the remains of this gun are formally linked with the death of Van Gogh, commercialization of a tragedy which deserves more respect." Now, a bit of personal info and a disclaimer before I explain why I don't believe this gun's story. I'm not trained in forensic ballistics or metal conservation, and I've not personally handled the gun. With that said, I've got a degree in historic preservation and have taken courses in archaeology, object conservation, and museum studies. I've also worked at prestigious institutions such as the National Park Service and the Smithsonian Institution, where I've worked alongside some top-notch professional archaeologists, object conservators, and those trained in forensic ballistics. Basically, what I'm getting at is that I'm certainly no expert, but I think I know a bit more about this than the auctioneer. So, here's why I don't buy the alleged provenance on this gun, not even for a minute. Reason number 1, the consignor is 3 degrees removed, being the daughter of the woman who was given the gun by the farmer who supposedly found it. And there's no solid proof of the gun's chain of custody aside from the familial story. Chain of custody is arguably the most important piece of information when it comes to any high-profile object, and this object does not have it. Reason number 2. Lefaucheux pinfire revolvers were inexpensive and plentiful in the late 19th century. They turn up everywhere around the world, so finding one in a field under a tree in France really isn't that big of a deal to me. Number 3. I know of no such scientific studies that could prove the gun had been buried for 70 years. There's no good way to measure the time it takes for an object to obtain that degree of corrosion. There are simply too many variables, such as soil composition and acidity, soil moisture levels, the depth of the burial, and so on. Reason number 4. While it's true that the 7mm pinfire is not a very powerful cartridge, it cannot be the sole deciding factor on why Van Gogh lingered for 2 days before succumbing to his injuries. There are plenty of cases where gunshot victims do not die instantly, or sometimes even at all, even after having been shot in the chest with a more powerful cartridge. So, will we ever know for sure if this was the gun with which one of the 19th century's most famous artists committed suicide? No, we won't. But it makes for a good story, and it made for a good payday for both the now former owner and the auction house. So, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Am I off base? Does this gun hold up? Do you think it actually was Van Gogh's suicide gun? Or do I have it right, and this is definitely not the gun from his suicide? Either way, I want to hear what you think. Let me know. Leave a comment below, give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Logan Medish for High Caliber History. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.